Hello ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else watching. My name's Erik, and welcome back to a brand new video here on the Bioshock Hub. Thank you for stopping by, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys doing that. Now, today we have some breaking news in terms of the Bioshock movie, and this comes from Screen Rant, so obviously take that as you will. I'm going to put the tweet up on the screen so you guys can read along with me. And then in terms of the article, I'll read that to you so you don't have to go through that yourself. Or if you want to read it yourself, I'll link it in the description as always. So let's begin. Director Francis Lawrence promises that the Bioshock movie adaptation will stay true to the game's mythology. Quote, "The whole mythology of that world and the ideas behind it all, there's just so much there." And to me, this is already a good sign. Obviously, you still have to be wary about the fact that it is Netflix that's in charge of this, and they don't have the best track record of video game adaptations for movies, series, etc. You guys get the point, and this is where a lot of criticism I see come into play too. So, at least the director, the one behind it all, is going to stay true to essentially the game's source material. That's great. That is absolutely great. They're not going to pull something out of thin air or pull something out of their ass and throw it in, hopefully. And hopefully we actually get a Bioshock movie that feels like Bioshock. Sorry for the rant. Let's hop into the article now. So, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to read the article along with me, it'll be linked in the description. If not, feel free to sit back and relax. This is by Grant Hermans, so big shout out to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. This is titled, "How the Bioshock Movie Will Adapt Game Mythology, Explained by Director." Director Francis Lawrence explains how the Bioshock movie will adapt the video game's franchise's mythology, eager to build on its world. Just a few months after taking the reins for the adaptation, director Francis Lawrence has opened up about how the Bioshock movie will adapt the game's franchise's mythology. Developed by Irrational Games, the first-person shooter franchise puts players in the shoes of various protagonists, well, 3 to be exact, as they explore the haunting underworld city of Rapture, and that's a little bit of an error on Grant's part. It should be underwater, not underworld. Maybe I'm just a little bit nitpicky here and there, but that's okay. So let me rephrase that. Exploring the haunting underwater city of Rapture and the steampunk-inspired floating city of Columbia. Attempts to adapt Bioshock to film have languished over a decade. With The Ring's Gore Verbinski, I think a better movie could have been used there, like Pirates of the Caribbean, but The Ring is pretty classic in its own right, have been attached for years to the helm before eventually departing. And now Netflix is trying their hand at the property, with Constantine's Francis Lawrence now attached to direct. And I also believe, if I remember correctly, Francis Lawrence did a couple of the Hunger Games movies. So at least the production value should be very well done, hopefully. Now, going into this next paragraph, there is another source that I'll put in the description as well if you guys want to check that out, but for the sake of video purposes, I'll just refer to it as the source. So, while speaking with Collider, there you go, to discuss Netflix's fantasy adventure Slumberland, Francis Lawrence offered some insight for the upcoming Bioshock movie. When asked about facing the dreaded video game movie curse, the director felt confident in their ability to overcome it by more directly applying and adapting the video game's mythology, rather than carrying loose threads to its source material. Quote, "No, I do know what you mean. When I think about that, I go back to what we were talking about earlier, which is, I think there's some great video games out there, but they don't always have the weight of actual ideas underneath them. Sometimes they have a great aesthetic or something like that, but I often feel like they end up feeling empty because they're not built from real ideas. The thing is, Bioshock really is. The whole mythology of that world and the ideas behind it all, there's just so much there. So, hopefully we are going to get something, like I said earlier, that feels, looks, and plays out like a Bioshock game, just obviously in live action adaptation form. Still very hesitant on it, and I'm still kind of worried about it because I don't want to see this movie fail, but only time will tell. Now, there is one last part of this entire article. It's essentially an article within an article. So, again, it'll be linked in the description. And there's other movies that are going to be mentioned, like how the Super Mario Brothers ended up changing the mythologies or ended up switching the styles for the movie. And same thing with Resident Evil as well. Sure, the movies were entertaining. They really had nothing to do with the video games. So, anyways, let's get into this one. Why Bioshock's story makes sense to adapt. As the Bioshock director notes, many video game movies in the past have failed to resonate with their source material's fan bases, simply by changing or ignoring their mythologies, with the original, as mentioned, Super Mario Bros. Movie being one of the more infamous to do so. Though Mila Jovovich's Resident Evil franchise was a box hit and generally well received by audiences for its mindless action, fans of the game were largely critical of its drastic changes to the source mythology, namely in its relegating such characters as Chris and Claire Redfield and Leon Kennedy to be minor supporting characters. Though Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City wasn't much more of a success in comparison, its effort to closer adapt the stories of the first two games was well received by franchise fans. I don't know about that one, Grant. I don't know about that one. With the franchise exploring everything from free will to objectivism, dystopian societies, and the multiverse, Bioshock is a property rife with potential for a faithful movie adaptation. And I did say that from day one. There's so much to each individual game that there's so many different stories that they can tell. There's so many elements that they can actually bring in to the movie. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Though it may be hard to recreate the unique plot twist of the original Bioshock title for those familiar with the game, one could hope that Lawrence and screenwriter Michael Green find a way to capitalize on the shock reveal for audiences who haven't explored the halls of Rapture. Given Green has already found acclaim in the sci-fi genre with Blade Runner 2049, as well as his Oscar nomination for his work with James Mangold and Scott Franklin on Logan, the Bioshock property seems to be in good hands. Again, I hope and I pray that you're right with that one, Grant. It feels like it, but again, you still have that overbearing factor of Netflix, but hopefully they pull through. With Lawrence indicating his interest in building on the ideas presented in the games for the Bioshock movie, it seems more likely viewers will be taken to the underwater city from the original game, rather than the loosely connected Columbia of Bioshock Infinite, and rightfully so. If they have a plan on making this a trilogy or a cinematic universe of sorts, you want to start with the first one, so it makes sense to me. Though many directors in the past have expressed some excitement for helping bring some games to life on screen, Lawrence's passion to stay true to the world of the Bioshock games is sure to bring some comfort for fans of the franchise. With Bioshock also expected to help launch a cinematic universe for Netflix, it will be interesting to see if Lawrence's efforts can kickstart a franchise for Netflix. So, very quickly, again, if you want to read this article, or if you want to read that article on Collider, it will be down in the description below. Well, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else watching, thank you for watching this video up until this point. I really do appreciate it, and I really appreciate you all. Before I go, though, I would like for you to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this news. Let me know what you think is going to happen with the movie. Are you excited? Are you not excited? Just feel free to let me know. I want to have genuine conversations with you guys, and I want to see where everybody's coming from, and I'd like to see everybody's perspective. So, if you wouldn't mind leaving a comment down below, I'd very much appreciate that. With that being said, if you want to stay up to date with myself or my content in general, would you kindly hit that subscribe button? Would you kindly drop a like on the video? And also, would you kindly hit that bell and ring all post notifications? That way, you never miss a future video or a future live stream. If YouTube actually wants to work, that is. Anyways, also, you can follow me on my social media accounts like my Twitter, Instagram, etc. The links to that are down in the description as well. So, with that being said, hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll keep updating you guys as I get more and more information and more news comes out, so stay tuned for that. And a couple of other videos are popping up on the screen here shortly. I'd highly recommend checking those out. With that being said, thank you all so very much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I will talk to you all in the next video.